Hey guys, it's John with Get Some Custom Bait. Super excited to bring this video to you today. Went down to Lake Powell for a trip to see if we could catch some stripers with the hopes that they were boiling. We ended up catching quite a few on Topwater. We also jigged for the stripers, walleye, bass, caught quite a few largemouth and smallmouth as well. So I hope you enjoy the video. As always, you'll see the fishing just gets better and better as we progress through the video with bigger and bigger fish, so keep watching. And just real quick before we start the fishing, just wanted to show you some of the beautiful scenes that you have to look at while you're down there fishing at Lake Powell. These canyons are just absolutely everywhere with beautiful red rock. Just so much to absolutely love about Lake Powell. This is John with Get Some Custom Baits. We're here at beautiful Lake Powell. Here fishing in mid-September, and I already caught a couple fish on topwater and striper boils and a really nice 3-pound largemouth bass on topwater too. So looks like the boils kind of stopped for the morning. I got my camp all set up, but now we're gonna see if we can catch some fish. So this was the largemouth bass, probably about a 3-pounder that I mentioned in the intro. Just wanted to flash back to it real quick. Didn't even have a chance to pull out my camera. I was actually just pulling up on this point to see if I could set up camp here, and it looked like a great point to take a quick cast to. And this largemouth bass just came out and destroyed my sexy shad whopper plopper. So sorry for missing the explosion. I wasn't expecting to catch a fish so quickly on that particular point, but I turned it on real quick and captured just the last part of the fight and the fish itself. So there you go. Let's see if I can turn this so the sun angle is good. Probably a nice 3-pounder. Gotta measure that one. Okay, so now you can see my tent. That's my tent set up in the background there. Got my camp all set up, and then I immediately got back to fishing. And it was like my very first or second cast at that same point, and here I hooked up with another fish. So one thing that I did find to be true, especially at Lake Powell, you probably have heard the saying that 10% of the water holds 90% of the fish, and that would mean that 90% of the water holds less than 10% of the fish. And that was absolutely true. I definitely found that to be true. All of the fish that I caught were probably in between 8 and 20 feet of water depth, and they were definitely keying in on structures, whether it be rock, trees, brush. You can see here I've got this submerged tree that I'm fishing, and definitely held some fish that fortunately wanted to come out and play. So there you go. This has got to be one of the coolest videos from this whole trip. So you saw in the last video, I missed a monster explosion right next to the tree. Floated past the other side of the tree and took another cast and caught the same fish. But his little buddy is swimming there with him, and his buddy looks to be even bigger than he was. So it took a couple other casts at that tree, trying to hook up with that bigger one, but never did get him on the line. There he is. Again, what is the deal? So these trees ended up being really good to me. I would come back time and time again to take a few casts and try to catch a couple fish on it, hoping that that big one would come back out again. But each time I came back, I'd get less and less interest. It was almost like they were figuring me out, but I did catch quite a few before they figured me out and wouldn't give me a second look anymore. So.
It's a little guy.
So I always like to have a lipless crankbait tied on just in case it seems like they might not be coming all the way to the surface. But they're definitely chasing these threadfin shad around. So I had one of these Tennessee shad lipless crankbaits tied on, took a cast and immediately caught a striper on it. So it's just a beautiful bait with some holographic scale patterns to it. Used it in other videos, definitely catches a lot of fish and definitely caught a lot of fish on this trip as well.
Largemouth.
So typically if the canyon walls drop straight down into the water, like you can see those canyon walls in the background here, there's not enough structure to hold a lot of fish. Sometimes you'll be able to see stripers schooling in the canyons, but this particular wall, you can see that there's a lot of broken rock that provides perfect structure for bass, striper, anything. So anytime I drive past one of those as I'm cruising through a canyon, I always pull up and stop, and we'll always catch a couple fish on the rocks at the base of the cliffs. So
Smallmouth.
So this little guy tried to get me hooked. I guess I deserved that somewhat because I try to boat flip fish too often. But yeah, he spit the hook right in front of me, just about got me hooked. So it's always the little ones that do it, it seems like. You can see from this first day that I caught a lot of fish, but a lot of them were pretty small, both stripers and bass alike. But don't worry, the fish, the size of the fish just builds with each day that I'm there. And I start using different techniques. A lot of the same techniques work well for bigger fish as well, but maybe in just slightly different areas and everything. But definitely had to filter through a lot of these smaller fish to get to some of the bigger ones. So bigger ones are still to come. So as the day progressed and as the trip progressed, I noticed the more and more that the wind would pick up, the more and more the topwater bite would just die, just completely die. So as the wind picked up, I decided to start jigging. So I have these lead jigging spoons that I've just been dying to try down here at Lake Powell. And I hooked up almost immediately upon giving that lead spoon a try. So even when the wind picks up, you can definitely catch fish other ways. I really like catching them on top water, so I didn't like for the wind to pick up, but it's still a ton of fun to catch fish jigging. And you can see we still have to filter through a lot of these smaller fish, even the stripers, in order to get to some of the bigger ones. And the other thing I learned about stripers is you really got to watch out for their spines. They've got sharp points everywhere. A lot of people put like a wet towel over them while they take off the hook, just so that it protects their hands a little bit. But I was able to get these fish unhooked and back in the water pretty quick.
Nice. Little guy, but he fought good, yeah. Tough. Striper.
So I didn't come prepared to keep any fish, but man, if I was planning on cooking some fish on the shoreline or something like that, these stripers, these smaller ones, would have made perfect table fare. And then here in this last video, I caught a nice walleye. Of any fish, I think walleye by far tastes the best. I would have absolutely kept this fish if I had everything that I needed to clean and cook it. So awesome. So day 2 was all about starting with topwater again, early in the morning, and throughout most of the day I threw topwater. I started to learn that it really didn't matter what time of the day it was. They would be willing to take something on topwater just as long as it wasn't too windy and there was too many waves. So I definitely started there and maintained it throughout the day. And then, holy crap, do you see how high this fish jumped out of the water? That was awesome, and almost jumped into the boat. I swear, it's always at the end of your longest cast that they will hit top water, where the camera can see it the least. But man, some of these explosions are so sudden and they just surprise you so much it almost scares you, even when they are that far away.
Think of a smaller too. That's okay though.
So what I did find that was somewhat unique about this topwater bite was that I'm used to all topwater bites being in less than 5 feet of water, like really tight up to the shoreline. So you get really accurate and really good at casting close to shoreline, but
Largie?
still tend to bounce a few casts off of the
Yeah,
rocks.
largemouth. Nice.
But not this time. These fish were hitting from, you know, probably 8 to 15 feet of water when the lure gets quite a ways away from the shoreline. So they were very willing to come up and hit it even from long distances, unless they were suspended in the water column a lot closer to the surface. But either way, that's just unique to me. I'm not used to that. And so a lot of these bites would come as a huge surprise. So it was really fun from that viewpoint. And a lot of times they would miss it on the first time and they'd still explode a second or a third or even a fourth time. You'll see that here in just a minute or two.
Just a little guy.
So this was pretty cool too. You could hear the coyotes just absolutely howling in the background as I'm out there fishing, catching fish. So I even saw 2 coyotes pretty close to the shoreline as they were hunting probably rabbits early in the morning. Pretty cool to be able to sit and just watch them for a minute. Whoa, if that won't wake you up, I don't know what will. That was right at the boat. Goodness, that scared me. So I kept this clip in there because you can see I missed one right at the boat. Had one on the second cast, but it spit the hook when it jumped. And the third cast, I caught another fish, 3 in a row. It was just absolutely on fire. And again, you can see just how willing to bite they were on topwater. Another one that was just right next to the boat. It's awesome. So this particular area that I was fishing, it worked perfect for topwater. There were all these submerged boulders, submerged um, rocks with little islands that would just poke up out of the water all over the place. Um, Definitely could do some damage to your boat not seeing a lot of these, but it just provided the perfect habitat for these fish. And I don't know where they were hiding this whole time, but this is where you start to see those bigger fish really come out. Really got into some really nice, decent stripers in this area as well as some others with a variety of techniques here.
Largie. Oh, good jumping largie. Yeah, that's a pretty fish. Small but pretty. Nice. Nice little bass. That was a freaking blow up. Dang, that was awesome.
Yeah, this one probably made the top 3 for the most vicious blow-ups during this trip. That was just amazing. Striper. Put up a really good fight too. Nice. They're boiling. So just to clarify, they were boiling, but the boils were very, very short-lived. You'd see like one fish splash and then maybe 5 to 10 more and then it was over. So if you weren't close or couldn't get your cast over there in time, you kind of missed the opportunity. But that being said, it really didn't matter, because if you didn't cast right over the top of a boil, they were still blowing up on topwater no matter where you threw your lures. So they were still willing to bite even if it wasn't in the middle of a boil. So
Man, this is a bigger fish. Good striper. Yeah, buddy. Look at that nice striper. That is an awesome fish.
you're freaking hard too.
Nice.
And there's another nice fish blowing up right next to the boat.
Kidding me?
This one spit the hook before I could get him in the boat, but it was still worth it. Alright, this has to be my favorite blow up in the entire trip. Look at how many times he missed it, and he just kept coming and coming and coming until he just annihilated it. Nice fish too.
Nice fish. Optimally wake up in the morning. Nice fish. That's pretty nice. Good strike.
Alright, so you can see the wind kind of starts to pick up here. So I caught this last fish before it got too bad, but then I started looking for areas that I could jig for fish, kind of in the backs of canyons where I could stay away from them, away from the wind. And I did catch a few fish jigging in the same area that I'd fished all morning. Yeah, I'd get into some pretty big schools and catch quite a few and then move on to a new school. man, I love topwater, but jigging is so fun in its own right because it seems like a lot of times you're just sitting there jig it, and all of a sudden when you go to jig it, there's just a ton of weight on there. I have actually snapped rods where I set the hook and it was a big enough of a fish that it just snapped the rod in half. So and it feels like even a small fish has the potential to do that. I really started to enjoy jigging.
Skinny guy though. That looks like a pretty good one too. Whoa, cone drag. These on my Shad jigging spoon. It's got some holographic scale patterns to it, and they are liking it. It's like 3 in a row, 3 consecutive drops in a row. That one's got a little more grip to him too. Got another one on Topwater. Sun, yeah, he's going down behind the mountains. And now it's going to rise. There's some of those decent. Big fat that was a good smallmouth.
striper right here. Huge school down there. Oh gosh, did he break me off? No, that was a massive fish. There he goes.
Just look at that fish finder, how lit up it is, and how massive these schools of striper are. They are just everywhere down there.
Little guy. I think you just realized he's coming. Oh, he just came off. Just a little one. Still a big pool down there though. Oh yeah, that's a little bigger one. Nice. Come on, striper. What side do you want to go to?
getting those fish out of the same big school. Yeah, buddy.